time for another quick video, and this time we're going to take a look at why I have been paying for SketchUp Pro long before it was cool to do so. In other words, when SketchUp was free one time. One of the more powerful reasons why you want to use SketchUp is because of a little program called Layout, which is also part of the SketchUp program, but what's surprising is that a lot of people actually don't know how to use this program. So I'm going to show you really quickly of what you need to do to actually use Layout. So first off, you have your SketchUp model, and sometimes putting in measurements and getting your right camera angles in here can become quite a hassle. And putting in measurements like this, you won't be able to see them all. They'll be inside the walls, stuff like that. So you need to make different building drawings actually. And the best way to do that is simply doing scenes. Let's just say I want a drawing of this bed. This is my model, and I put in these figures to have scale models compared to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that these two people are in fact tagged as people. So using the tags item here, I first make sure that I have a tag called people, and then put them in the people tag so that I can simply turn them off and get a clean image here. Then since I want this into layout, I can of course decide to go into styles and create a more drawn out version, but I'm actually going to have all the textures and everything in mind. You can place your camera where it's easy to see all the details that you need in your image, and then simply go down to scenes, which we have here. If you don't have it here, you always just go to window and you go default tray, and then you find scene right there. If you're on a Mac, you will find it right under the window tab. When you've done that, we create our scene, and it's going to ask you if you want to save a style. That's because we have done some changes to the styles, but we haven't created a new style yet. In that case, you just want to save as a new style. So here is our scene 1, and that is now ready for layout. So let's do a couple of other things too, which can be practical when we're building something like this. Like one thing which would be quite practical for this drawing would be to have a floor plan, but also like a perspective drawing like this is quite interesting. Also, you see we have a little Sarah character there in the corner. I'm just going to delete her because I don't need her. So we're going to view it from the top, and then I'm just going to press the view from top button. We have it here. If you don't have it there, you can always go camera, standard views, and top, but you can also find them under tool sets. So when I've selected that, I can simply create a new scene, and this time I'm actually going to name this scene. So simply go to the scene tag and right click and click rename, and we're going to call this top view. Seasoned users of layout will know that you can also go down here and select this option tab, and you'll also have the opportunity to change your view here, and also select if you want different attributes to be saved or not. But for now, for our use, to keep it simple for you guys, we're just going to use it the simple way. So again, up here, rename, and we're going to call this top view. Press enter to save that. But this is a top view of a perspective. It's really hard to actually make this into scale drawings because things that are farther away will have will be smaller than things that are closer to the camera. So we need to make sure that this is perpendicular or has a parallel view. So you can go to camera. Oh, sorry, I'm just can't find my zoom button. Camera, parallel projection to make everything flat. Okay. But now it's kind of hard to read, isn't it? Because you don't really know what's walls and what's beds or anything. So how can we fix that? Well, it's actually quite simple. First, we're going to go back to top view, because this is actually simpler to do in perspective. You don't have to if you don't want to. But here we have a little tool, which is called sections. There we go, section plane. If you click that, you get like this little square that you can run around your model, and it will orient to the the plane or surface that you're hovering over. So for our sake, we want to make a section cut which is parallel to the blue axis. So we're going to click there, which then most people will start panicking because things are disappearing, and you'll also might see that it will encumber or circumcise. How the hell do you say that in English? It will cover an area as big as your entire model. I have some extra geometry saved back here, so that's why it's all the way over there. Okay. You might start panicking because you clicked on the floor and everything disappeared. Well, it's not gone. It's just, if you double click on this, it will actually reappear. You can turn that off and on. But what we want to do is we want to move this upwards. So you can press M on your keyboard or just go to this little move button and move it up till we actually find a section. And a section should always be through windows and openings, so we can actually see where the different openings are. And since the bed there, I don't want to cut the bed, so I'm actually going to go all the way up here. Okay, and then we're going to go, we want the top view, and we can go back to camera and select standard views and top view like we did the last time, of course. But what you also can do is just right click on your section and click align view. That should, oh, sorry, my bad. I use the black arrow, not move tool, and align view, which should move it to create a perpendicular view from there. And then also just go camera, perspective, parallel projection. Okay. This section plane, you don't really need it. It's just there to be a tool. So when you've put it on the correct place, you can always go to view and just take away section plane. And there we have our section. So far it might be a bit hard to read too, so if we go up here and just press the monochrome, we get like closer to a traditional section plane. So we're going to save this too. We're just going to go down to scenes, just press plus, and it's going to ask me again if I want to save a new style. And this time we changed a lot. We changed the background, we changed the camera angle and everything. Just don't press update, just always save as a new style. It will be easier. If you know what you're doing, of course, you can, of course, limit the amount of styles you create. But for our sake now, just learning it, just do that. And again, rename it. We're going to call this plan. Cool. So, what do we got now? We got our scene. We got our top view. We got our plan. And what we're also going to do, which you can create more of, as many of these images as you want. But one image which can be quite practical in the case of making this bed, I also want elevation, like this. So again, just use the section plane. This time I just clicked on the wall, and I moved it back, and then I can right click and go align view, find my elevation, then click away section plane, and then we simply go down again to scenes, create a new scene, which is just called scene 4, and this time it didn't ask me to update any styles because it's pretty much the same style as plane. And I'm also going to rename it elevation. Okay, this first scene 2, I'm just going to rename perspective. And there we have it. So now we have 4 scenes: perspective, top view, plan, and elevation. And you can make as many of these scenes as you want. I have had projects which has had like up to 20-30 scenes, which has a lot of details and different things that we need. But this is just to show you how layout works. So when you've done this, now your model is actually primed and ready to go to layout. Of course, we could have just stopped at this perspective here, but I just want to show you all the different uses of using layout. Now we're gonna go File and Send to Layout, and it's remembering that you have to save this, and you can say yes. This is where you get to choose a template. Now, I have templates that I've created for the different TV channels I actually make drawings for. We're not going to use that now, but you just know that you can do that. So I'm going to go A3 landscape, which is the European model. You can also go letter size and stuff like that. And here is our perspective drawing. And what I don't think that a lot of people know is that you can actually continue to work in here and change your camera view and your styles, all of these things. If you go into this side here, oh, actually I'm gonna have to, you can go to the side here and we can go to the SketchUp model drawer, where we can choose the kind of line style we want. I usually take that down to 0.2 points, because that will give me like this here fine lines in the raster image. You can also select to actually go into vector or hybrid, which is, it actually converts your polygons into vector images, vector lines, or hybrid, which actually keeps a lot of your shadows and textures. Just know you'll get this warning first, which just tells you this is going to be a bit heavy, because it's actually quite process inducing. No, but I have a good machine here, and this is not a complex image. But if you have problems using hybrid or vector, don't use it. Just use raster. You can also go in here, and we can select the type of. Oops, I'm in the wrong image. We can select the type of tags we want to display it or not. We can, for example, take away the mattress, and the mattress will be gone in this image. And you can set dimensions, just like you can in SketchUp. And they will be automatically the correct size, even when you're drawing in perspective. And you have a lot more control when it comes to the view of these things. So if I select these two things, most of the things I draw in layout is actually controlled here on the side using the shape style. So with the shape style, I can, for example, choose to have a dash instead of an arrow, which looks a bit more professional, because that's what you usually see in architectural drawings. And you can select a different color than black if you want. I actually like to do that, because that will separate nicely my dimension styles and my model lines. So remember to select stroke first. Then we can go here and we can change that color. If you want the same style to go for more, you can just click the little pipette and select the dimension, and you can move that over to the next style. If you want this to be your standard from now on, you can use the pipette, you can select the dimension, then just go dimension tool, and every new line that you create from now on will have your new style. It will snap to either perpendicular or to the page. So this is just one page. What about all the others? The other pages that we made, Thomas? Well, let me just show you. So what you do is that you can create more pages. You can also like copy this into different pieces of the same page, of course. But I'm just going to make it simple, and let's just make some more pages. So I'm going to right click on this page, and I'm going to click duplicate, which just makes like a new page, which is exactly the same as the other one. But I'm going to select that page, and then I'm going to go into our SketchUp model. And if you look down at scenes, you will see all the different scenes that we already made. So I'm going to change from perspective to top view this time. And nothing happened, and that's because I've been in here and messed about with the camera angle. So just remember, if nothing happens, then we need to go to back to our SketchUp model. Select it first, go to SketchUp model, and then just select this little reset all button, and it will go to the saved scene. And as you can see, all the dimensions follow as well, and some of them actually touch. So we're just going to delete them for now. So here we have our top view again. You can go in here and you can add some dimensions. We can also change this from meters or feet or whatever you want. If you go down to dimension styles here, you can select if you want to use centimeters, how much precision you want, how you want the number to be displayed on the line, or if you even want to display the units at all. It can all be done right here. So now we have our, if we go down to our pages here, we have our page 1 and our page 2. And you can also customize this with text and labels. There's a lot of options here, but I'm not going to go through all of them. You can play around with them. It's pretty much the same as any other vector program where you have a lot of tools to draw with. So just have fun with it. But what we're going to do is do one more. We'll duplicate this page, and then we're going to change this. Where are we? To SketchUp model, and instead of top view we're going to select plane, and here we have a plane, and you can see that even the dimensions, they followed suit. And one thing that we can do now that we are in an orthographic view or parallel view is that we can actually use the scale, where you can actually go and set the scale you want, which means that when we're printing this, and 1 to 25 was 1 to 50 was a bit too small. I'm going to go 1 to 25. Sorry, that's small too. Let's go 1 to 20. That's good. So when you're printing this on an A3 paper, you can actually use a ruler to determine the size or the different dimensions that you haven't put on your drawings. So if the carpenter are missing 1 dimensions, they can simply use a ruler and just multiply that by 20, and they should have the correct measurements, which is pretty nice. So we can do the same thing here. What I do now is, instead of creating a new page, I'm just going to copy this SketchUp model over here. Just select it first, hold Control or Options if you're on a Mac, and copy it to the side. Oops, sorry. Remember to let go of the mouse before you let go of Control. Then we're just going to change this scene from plane to elevation. And there is our elevation as well. And we can again go in here and put in some new dimensions. And I don't think a lot of people realize the power of this tool. It is quite amazing, actually, because you get some pretty nice looking drawings that will be very nice looking in a PDF standard. And also, if you want to change anything, let's for example say that we want this bed to be lower. It's 1.73 meters now. Let's say I want this to have a more rounded number. I want this to be 2 centimeters higher. Well, you can always go back to your SketchUp model. Just go open with SketchUp, or simply open SketchUp where you had your model. And let's just go into this pole here, and we're gonna push this up 2 centimeters, and we're gonna do the same thing all the way here. Oh, sorry. I'm going to do this as well. There we go. So now all the posts are 2 centimeters higher. I'm just going to save this, and then when I go back to layout, I can simply right click and press Update Model Reference. And look what happens. It not only fixed the drawings on every single slide, but it also moved my measurements. So this has been not a very quick tutorial, but it's been a useful tutorial anyway. The last thing you want to know is just export as a PDF. Save it somewhere where you get to find it again. Put your resolution to high, put your image compression to the, not to max because that's very high, just put it 1 down and export. And if you remember to put these on vector or hybrid, and if you had the machine to actually run them, you will get a very decent looking PDF like this. Also remember that it's okay to use raster if this is hard to get out. And this you can send to your printer and have some pretty decent handouts to give to your carpenters and your workers so that they have full view over what you are going to build. Well, again, this has been a quick introduction to layout. I hope it was useful for you. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will talk to you next time.